It's Friday night. You're on your couch, phone in your hand, scrolling past other people's dinners. The apartment is quiet enough to hear the fridge hum, and somewhere behind your ribs, there's a dull ache you can't quite point to. That ache is real. Loneliness physically hurts. Your brain runs it through the same wiring as a burned hand. And doctors now rank it next to a habit you'd never touch. 15 cigarettes. Every single day. Start with the ache itself. Have you ever noticed the words you reach for? Hurt feelings, a broken heart, that comment stung, cutting remarks. You don't borrow those words from anywhere else. You borrow them from injury, and you do it without thinking, in almost every language on earth. Now put that in a scanner. A volunteer lies inside a brain scanner, staring at a small screen. On the screen, a cartoon so simple a child could draw it. 3 little figures tossing a ball. She's one of them. She catches, she throws, she catches again. Then the ball stops coming to her. The other 2 keep passing it back and forth like she isn't there. Nobody explains. Nobody says a word. She has never met these people. The ball is a pixel, and a curved band of tissue buried in the middle of her brain starts flaring. The anterior cingulate, the strip that registers how badly something hurts. The strip that fires when a hand closes on a hot pan. The brighter that patch burned, the more hurt she reported feeling. Your body files rejection under damage, not under sadness. So a stranger question follows. If hurt feelings run on the pain system, could you take a pill for them? Researchers tried exactly that. They handed volunteers a bottle of ordinary Tylenol, not an antidepressant, just the white tablet in your medicine cabinet, the one you take for a headache and a sore knee. 2 doses a day, 3 weeks straight. Every night, each volunteer marked down how much their feelings had been hurt that day. The line went down, and in the placebo group, it sat flat. Then the same team ran the scan. Volunteers on the painkiller, watching that same ball sail past them, showed a quieter flare in the hurt-registering band. A drug for a sprained ankle dulled the sting of being left out. Nobody is telling you to swallow a tablet for a bad week. The point is what it exposes. That wall you assume stands between a broken bone and a broken friendship, your nervous system never built it. Which raises the real question. Why would evolution wire the alarm this way? Another experiment, another room. Volunteers spend 10 hours completely alone. No phone, no messages, no faces, just a chair, 4 walls, and time. On a separate day, the same volunteers spend 10 hours with no food. Both times they end up in the scanner, looking at pictures, hungry. They see plates of pasta, and a deep knot of tissue near the base of the brain lights up. That's the craving circuit, the go-get-it machinery, the same region that answers to a cigarette or a slot machine. Isolated, they see photographs of people laughing together at a table, arms overlapping, one of them mid-sentence. Same circuit, same flare. The machinery that drags a hungry person toward a plate is the machinery that drags a lonely one toward a door. 10 hours without company register the way 10 hours without lunch does. So what is the ache actually asking you for? Food, but the human kind. Your stomach growls to say the fuel is low. The ache says the people are gone. For most of human history, a person alone was a person about to be eaten. And the ancestors who felt nothing when the group wandered off didn't leave many descendants. Picture what alone actually meant back then. 1 person, 1 fire, nobody to take the second watch. Nobody to carry you when your ankle folds on a river stone. Nobody to hand you meat on the day you come back with nothing. A group was a roof, a bodyguard, a pantry, and a hospital, all in one. Losing it started a countdown. The ache isn't the malfunction. The ache is the smoke alarm. But an alarm that never switches off starts doing damage of its own. And that is where the cigarettes come in. So what does a lonely body actually do at night? Researchers strapped motion trackers to the wrists of people in a tight farming community out on the plains. Everyone there eats together, works together, prays together, and almost nobody lives alone. Then they asked who felt lonely anyway. Plenty of them did. Those people slept the same number of hours as everyone else, but their sleep broke into pieces. More stirring, more surfacing, more shallow patches scattered through the night. Same hours in bed, a worse night inside them. A human sleeping alone on open ground had to keep one ear open. Yours still does on the 3rd floor behind a locked door, under a duvet. Now go smaller, into the blood. A lab drew blood from people at the far ends of the loneliness scale and read what their immune cells were doing. More than 200 genes were running at different settings. Inflammation genes turned up, antiviral genes turned down. The loneliest bodies were also running higher on the fight-or-flight chemical, with bone marrow pushing out extra young immune cells already tuned to swell and attack. What is that trade for? Alone on open ground, you're likely to get bitten and unlikely to catch anything from a crowd. So the body preloads for a wound and drops its guard against a virus. Held for 1 night, that setting saves your life. Held for 20 years, it's the low simmer that stiffens arteries, thickens the walls of the heart, and feeds the illnesses that kill most people in rich countries. Now the number makes sense. A psychologist in Utah stacked 148 studies on top of each other, following more than 300,000 people, and lined weak social connection up against the classic killers. It didn't land somewhere near the bottom. It landed beside physical inactivity, past obesity, right about level with 15 cigarettes a day. A later sweep across more than 3 million people put chronic loneliness at roughly a 26% higher chance of dying early. And that comparison isn't a slogan somebody printed on a poster. It came out of lining risks up side by side on a chart, one bar against another, the way a doctor ranks anything else that shortens a life. Loneliness just never made it onto the checklist. Your doctor weighs you, takes your blood pressure, asks what you smoke. Nobody asks who would notice if you didn't come home. Nobody lit anything. The body does it from the inside. Now the cruel part of it. The alarm doesn't only hurt. It rewrites what you see. A brain running hot on that setting scans faces harder for threat, reads a neutral expression as dislike, here's a short reply as a verdict. It's built to protect you from a group that might turn on you, so it makes you flinch away from the one thing that would shut it off. That's why the lonelier month is usually the quieter one. The invitation you leave unanswered, the message typed and deleted, the birthday you let slide past, telling yourself nobody would have shown up anyway. You can see it in smaller things too. The group photo where you're standing half a step outside the frame. The thread you read every message in and never answer. The trick of showing up late so you never have to stand in a room by yourself, holding a drink, waiting for somebody to look over. And this is where the hunger comparison earns its keep. When your stomach growls, do you treat it as evidence about your worth? Do you sit in the dark working out what it says about your character? You eat something. The ache behind your ribs belongs to the same family of signals, and it wants the same boring answer. Not a personality transplant, not a grand plan, just the smallest dose of contact within reach. Send the message, take the call standing at the kitchen counter, say the extra sentence to the person handing you your coffee. Sit in a cafe for an hour with strangers moving around you. None of it has to be deep. A body in a room with other bodies does most of the work, which is why the gym, the choir, the bad weekly class you almost quit all count. Small servings, often the way you'd eat. It's Friday night. You're on your couch, phone in your hand, and the fridge is still humming. Nothing in the room has changed, but the ache behind your ribs makes sense now. It's an old alarm doing the exact job it was built to do, wired into the same circuit as a burned hand, running up the same bill as 15 cigarettes a day, and it will keep ringing until somebody answers it. You already know who to text.